So we have finally arrived at the end. This is the final volume of Lord of the Mysteries. I'll miss it, honestly. Reading the novel was an experience I will probably never forget, and the ending was genuinely one of the best character conclusions I have experienced. But before we talk about the ending, let's talk about the events leading up to it as usual. Honestly, it's kind of interesting that Aemon threw away all the Beyonder characteristics of Bethel Abraham to the Abraham family. I guess, yeah, they would be excess characteristics, but still, it's interesting that he cares enough considering his personality. I guess that's also what makes him an unpredictable character, as Medici later in this volume also says. And what's especially surprising is that Celestial Worthy most likely would have taken control of Klein if he didn't devour Zarathul. I mean, it all makes sense now. Why the pacing is so fast and why Klein needed to advance so fast. It was practically a race against time. The Celestial Worthy was closer to awakening than ever, and so Klein naturally needed to advance as fast as possible to save himself. Similarly, if Klein had never had the persona of Mr. World, he would not have been able to resist Celestial Worthy either. Because of this persona, he had acted as the Attendant of Mysteries extensively. The Sequence 1 abilities are also absolutely ridiculous. I would have never expected that Klein's abilities would turn out to be this crazy. Like, he can summon a small divine kingdom at Sequence 1? Like, that's just crazy. The rest of his abilities are also just incredibly confusing and vague. Like, what the heck does reassembly mean? He can turn anything into anything? Like, what does it mean? The fact that Aroderus got kidnapped is also so funny to me. I've been saying this all this time, but Ouroboros is just a chill guy. Like in the fight in volume 4, he just appeared for a few seconds and then dipped. Like, he just likes a true creator, there's no beef whatsoever. I like how he never really actively searched for Will either, like he's just a chill guy. And finally, had Klein talk to Amanices. I've been waiting for this moment for so long, it's genuinely insane. The two transmigrators finally meet. Although we didn't get much personal talk, we got a lot of information about her involvement in certain events and about Celestial Worthy. And if I understand this correctly, Amanices is the reason the curtain was formed and why Celestial Worthy didn't just awaken in Klein immediately. Because that's just crazy, like without Amanices, Klein would have been cooked a long time ago. Like, these events are just lined up so perfectly for Klein to become the Fool. I would not be surprised if just Adam planned everything. It was also nice to see Klein taking care of whatever regrets he might have had if he died in the stealing of the Fool uniqueness. The letter to Azik this time was really something else. He was reminiscing about a time when he was a Nighthawk and still had a family to go back home to. Now his loneliness had become especially apparent, which is why he might have mentioned this and wrote about it. It's his most fond memories as a human, and this might be the last time he can freely express his humanity before either becoming a god or die trying. As I said in the Volume 7 video, the letters to Azik are just a perfect outlet for Klein's humanity, which is very enjoyable to see with how fast the pacing currently is. He is also making preparations for, well, what happens in the ending. Thinking about this part of the volume again after finishing it makes these kinds of scenes so much more impactful. And Klein's loneliness was also depicted incredibly well when he attended Benson's wedding. In the foreground, it's a happy scene, symbolizing the happiness of the Moretti siblings after Klein's death. But Klein still feels a giant sense of longing towards them. He could never let go of them, and so he watched over them for all this time. Despite being infinitely close to them, they could never touch, they could never interact. Because that is just how much Klein loves them. He would never want to involve them in his affairs or have others use them as weapons against him, and so he can only silently observe, letting the loneliness seep deep within his bones. He shows, again and again, that he would sacrifice his own happiness 100-fold if it means protecting the happiness of the people he cares about. It's also interesting to note that Klein didn't completely erase his presence when he went to meet the Moretti siblings, as Melissa looked over at his seat right after he left. Just that moment he met the siblings fucked him up so bad that he needed counseling from God's personal therapist herself. Of course, it was also because of Celestial Worthy's will, but you still get the point. The meeting with Audrey was also interesting when considering Klein's character, because it really just shows how much he misses his time on Earth. He doesn't mention his past often, so it's a surprise to see memories of it re-emerge when thinking of happiness. He even shed tears as German Sparrow just thinking about it. We are talking about the nonchalant German Sparrow here, with the abilities of a clown to mask his expression. And still, those memories were so precious to him that he just felt emotional towards just remembering them. It's truly a heartwarming moment to me, because it's the first time Klein had shown a part of his true self to anyone. Speaking of, Klein approached everyone as German Sparrow, and honestly, that was the most high aura shit I've ever seen. Everyone realized that he was a Sequence 1 and the king of kings of angels. And it was so glorious to see. I felt like I was reading a tarot meeting, that's how entertaining it was. And the plot twist of the identity of the beings residing inside of the River of Eternal Darkness was also extremely interesting to me. I never expected that we would ever see Salinger appear in the series. Controlling the River of Eternal Darkness must just be extremely overpowered, since you literally command every extremely strong being that once had lived. Like, imagine the Evernight Goddess having Salinger and a bunch of Aztecs in her army. Antigonus did not deserve what the heck just happened to him. Like, he had a pretty miserable past in the first place, as we finally know a lot about what happened, but man, Klein over here was dissecting parts of himself like it's nothing. He stole his uniqueness, he stole his identity, what does he even have? At the same time, Aemon was stealing his anchors while the ancient sun god reawakened as well. It was getting real serious this time. And this isn't even the craziest part. And so, Klein's acquisition of the full uniqueness and his Sequence 0 ritual began. And with it, we see the biggest gathering of gods in one place we have seen to this point, with Klein Moretti being at the center of it all. We got Sheik fighting against Lilith, which is a crazy matchup, and then we got the Hidden Sage appearing and Aemon joining in as well, with the Evernight Goddess trying to assist Klein. And at the same time, Klein was fighting off the will of the Celestial Worthy and Antigonus. This development was probably the most insane shit I've ever read in this web novel. Now Klein's main fight was with Aemon. Klein then created the full potion and inevitably absorbed it, and then the final showdown above the grey fog took place. The fight against Aemon was truly one of the best fights I ever had the pleasure of experiencing. It was just the perfect climax. The fully awakened fool against the dual pathway god of the error and door pathway. What a matchup! Klein really got Aemon playing Roblox doors over here, spamming the Divine Realm attacks to prepare for his next tricks. Klein's Sequence 0 main ability called Fooling is, in my opinion, one of the most broken abilities I've seen, and if not, more powerful than Aemon's ability to steal people's thoughts. Klein then casually challenged Aemon to the most devious proposition of all. He was going to force Celestial Worthy's awakening inside of him and was challenging Aemon to do the same. When Aemon realized Klein was serious, I think he felt fear for the first time in his life. He went and said, "You are crazy." And that is coming from a god who is the son of the most powerful Great Old One, and isn't afraid to make the entire world his enemy to achieve his goals. He knew there was just no way out. He was either going to give it his all to escape this mighty existence whose will is greater than even Amon's, a being from the third epoch could ever be, or die pitifully. And then at the climax, Klein proclaimed, "I won't lose much, just myself." And man, this line hits so hard when you consider all that he has lost, all he needed to leave behind on his journey. The people who he could call friends and make memories with separating from him one by one until in the end he was fully alone. And yet he would sacrifice everything he had built, everything he had fought for them. In Volume 4, his original goal got shattered, and now he had finally rediscovered his goal. It was to protect everything, the world, the people he cares about, and just all he had gone through. Despite the fact that he is lonelier than anyone else, he also holds more emotions and feelings towards the people and things he longs for. It's beautiful to see how much this journey has shaped him, considering how much of a hollow slate he was at the beginning of Volume 4. In this volume, or perhaps for several volumes already, he had realized what was truly important. He realized what he needed to do. He needed to give his life to everyone, to the world, to stop Celestial Worthy's awakening. Despite the fact that this was a world that made him feel more lonely and isolated than anything else, he still laid down his life for it. He still staked everything on the fight against Celestial Worthy. Remember how I said that he would sacrifice his own happiness 100-fold if it meant protecting the people he cared about? Well, this was the ultimate sacrifice he could make. It was the sacrifice that even someone as meticulous as Amon found too heavy for himself to bear. Klein was afraid, and yet that didn't stop him from marching towards the door of light and confronting his final adversary. It was truly one of the most fitting and well-written character conclusions I have ever had the honor of experiencing. And after taking one last look at everyone he wanted to protect, at everyone he fought for, he, the fool who loved the world, finally fell into his final slumber.